Thank you for joining XROM, which is India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today I'm delighted and honored to have Mr. Preet Prasannan, who is an augmented reality expert, a payment domains expert. He's a believer of product strategy, amalgamation, and technology implementation. He hates over engineering, believes in simplistic implementation of a problem solution, has built and trained world-class teams ground up. He's an open source contributor and advocate. He was the ex-CTO of Blippar, and now currently he's the CEO, which is one of the world's leading AR technology company. So Preet, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. Now, Blippar as a company has gone through various cycles, and there was a reshuffling of the business model, and it's now you who was the ex-CTO and currently the CEO. So talk to us about this journey of this ups and down, of Blippar, and what are your priorities as CEO?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me, Eddie. Much appreciated that. Blippar is one of those pioneers of AR when they created AR when AR didn't exist. We essentially were AR back in 2015, right? So it was an amazing journey. There was amazing technology. I think but the technology was ahead of its time. One of the things that we missed out was productizing the technology. I've been the CEO for the last 7 months now. And it's been an amazing journey. It's a completely different company, very lean, very focused, heavy focus, or rather only focus, pure focus on AR. We have two businesses on SaaS and Studio. Studio essentially builds those marquee AR experiences for clients. SaaS is essentially where we have two products. We have the Blip Builder and the SDK, which is essentially a way for anyone and everyone to create AR. So Blip Builder, you can just come, drag and drop, and in a couple of minutes, you should be able to absolutely build an AR experience that is world-class, but you don't need to know anything about coding. So that's Blip Builder. And then we have the SDK offering where developers can actually take an SDK and have the full power of Blippar's AR platform built over the last decade and build their own AR experiences. Coming back to where exactly it's a different company, as I said, very lean, very heavily focused on AR solutions, both for B2B and B2C. But very, very clear focus on users, developer community, and brands. One of the best things about the company is still being lean. It has the IP and the technology that has been built over the last 10 years. A lot of deep learning, a lot of computer vision, a lot of AR stuff. We work on both app, web, and HMDs. Now, one of the best things about the technology right now is if there's an HMD that comes out of the market today, Blippar would be ready to support it the way we have built it in the next 3 or 4 days. That's about it. It's just a delta that we need to do. We don't have to rebuild the platform from scratch kind of stuff. So in that way, heavy focus on HMDs because I think, and my vision is that AR is going to become quite ubiquitous with the advent of bigger products. For example, Apple's Visual Pro. That is a game changer for AR. I mean, a company like Apple coming and building a product purely for AR. If you realize that they are very clear in mentioning not those other catchy terms, but specifically augmented reality platform. It's amazing. And I think that's going to change. And I think that the natural progression would be towards lenses glasses, where you essentially will not have any kind of friction in experiencing AR glasses, AR content rather. As of now, what happens, you have to pull up your phone, scan the surroundings, and consume the AR experiences. But with HMDs and glasses, it will become natural. You're walking on the street, you are wearing those glasses, HMDs, and boom, all the content is around you. So my bet on the future is essentially AR becoming absolutely mainstream. It's already on its way. I think 2023, 2024 is going to be the biggest year for AR. And Blippar's focus is to be the de facto content creator platform of choice for all these HMDs, all these glasses, all these apps, all these web browsers and everything. Yeah.
You guys have been invested in a technology since the early days, when, AR was, nowhere close to mainstream. And even now, I mean, to be fair enough, it's not mainstream. It's going to take some time and doing for it to go mainstream. Right now, you've pointed out, the de facto interface currently is the mobile, which is the device which everybody has now in the world, and web AR. And then there are these big companies, jumping into the phrase, especially at this point in time, the much awaited Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Tell me, talk to me about this transition. I mean, from the 2D, the interface that we've been stuck with for the longest time.
Yep.
What do you think could be that application or a web device which will compel us to wear a glasses? Because I mean, I just couple of maybe like a weeks back, before
Mhm.
the Apple Vision Pro, I put out a little post saying, you know nobody wears sunglasses, I mean, through the day.
True.
So what
True
what
indeed.
what what would be that compelling reason for us to transition from the 2D world to the 3D world?
I think there would be a number of company propositions. Uh, One is obviously the reduction of friction. That is going to be super super critical. Like the consumption of AR has to be natural. Like how you go to Instagram or Facebook or any of the social networks, right? So nobody's actually using. I mean, very less people are actually using the desktops and everything. Phone is the medium because it is natural, right? You can use your camera, you can scroll through the feeds and interact very quickly. So there's almost zero friction there. But then you have the apps, right? You have to download these apps. Now imagine slowly as the downloading the app, all the power of the apps slowly transition to web, then it becomes super easy. You don't have to download an app. Click a link, scan a QR, and boom, you go ahead. QR, for that matter, was a game changing, as you say, a complete change of behavior in pandemic, right? People doing payments, people doing everything was QR. You just scan the QR and go for it. UPI, for that matter. If you see, QR is, I feel, and this is my strong belief, that QR is the one thing that completely changed the dynamics of UPI payments. And I think that is a classical example of why behaviors, if done the right way, completely can change the ecosystem. So that's one thing, which means zero friction experience coming in via AI. Now, with respect to the use cases, I think there's going to be a lot of use cases, which will obviously AR will take over: education, marketing, e-commerce, and all of that. But I think one of the biggest things that will actually drive AR forward is social and education. I think for AR to become completely mainstream, it has to be accessible and it also has to be ubiquitous with respect to the data that is out there. For example, um, if you're wearing a glass and let's say you're driving or you're walking, if you're getting directions that is right in front of you, you don't have to pick up the phone all the time to see where you're going. Right? So you have those lines in front of you. If you're seeing Apple demos and Google demos and everything, right? If you look at it, all these maps have been building these experiences for a long time. I think that's gonna be a massive one. I mean, free to use app data is obviously being collected. You are the product and you're paying for it. So that's what I'm gonna it's gonna change that structure. The second essentially is social, right? So privacy is a very important piece of information. But if you look at it, when you say social, it might not be directly interacting with your friends, but interact with the content that your society is leaving behind you. Could be check-ins, right? So you're walking around and you see check-in from your friend saying, "Oh, this restaurant is awesome." And when you're about to look at the restaurant, it's a chain, right? So when you look at the restaurant and you want to see, "Hey, my friend checked in, but what is so special about this restaurant?" And you just interact with that content with your hand. Now, Vision Pro doesn't even need controllers, right? It's going to go in that direction, like reducing the friction. You're just wearing your glasses, and then you look at the restaurant and you say, "Hey, I want to see the menu." You see the menu and you click on an item. There's a burger that comes right in front of you, which actually in real life predicts exactly what a burger is going to look like on your plate, right? So even before you enter a restaurant, you already have all the information about the restaurant, about its food, about the prices right in front of you before even interacting with the person, right? The friction to a restaurant is completely gone. But that kind of behavior, which is like chain one behind the other, is going to change. And that is going to happen only if you have an amazing social community. Uh, this is purely from a use case point of view, but from a technology point of view, AR will hit that ceiling when you cannot differentiate what is real, what is not real. For example, deep fakes and everything that's happening today, right? That's purely on the video side of things. But essentially, if you, and this is another use case where technology plays an important role. If you go to a car showroom and you have a car parked there, right? It's just one color, and it's in white, and you want to see the color in black, but the dealer doesn't have a black color. but all you have those glasses on and you have this app from, let's say, Mahindra or Audi for that matter, and you flip the color of the car. The same car that is sitting in front of you changes from white to black. And you can walk around. It's like a physical car present right there. Now imagine you don't have to wait for weeks to see a car. The dealer doesn't need to spend crazy amount of money. But then the entire problem is solved just because AR exists. But as I said, one is the behavior, and second is the technology. Like you should be able to see exactly the same car. It should not be moving around. It should be reflecting well. The color should be that way. So it should be real life. Like you should not be able to differentiate whether it's real or not. So that's the other point. The other would be essentially entertainment and gaming, which is going to drive a lot of value for people, right? So leisure. Uh, for example, if you are watching a movie, imagine you are inside Jurassic Park. You're wearing your glasses. 3D is fine, but imagine you're actually running around and your entire thing is moving around. For example, in Blippar, you can start creating experiences that are long running. There's Unity projects and all of that. So imagine with these HMDs and everything, you're building experiences which you are a part of, right? So I think that is going to change completely the way AR is going to be perceived by users. So to be honest, I think the way technology is moving, and I think it's almost getting there. The human behavior, societal behavior, I think that's. But I think more than all of this, one thing that I absolutely feel is if AR is able to solve societal challenges, traffic for that matter, right? So um, while you're wayfinding and everything, but also at the same time when you're stuck at a grid, there are people who are assisted by AR on how to actually change the grid, like how the cars can move, and each guy gets a very clear movement of saying, hey, move 10 feet back and let the other car go by. I'm talking purely with respect to Indian ecosystem. Uh, so because of the traffic and everything, and obviously we have an interesting problem. We thrive with chaos. So I think AR would be a fantastic solution there as well. So it's not just it's going to be one, but it's going to be combination of multiple use cases, fantastic technology, and something that assists that behavior which solves the societal problem. I think that's what's going to drive AR forward.
Lovely. How cool is that? So you're saying obviously there's these use cases, which is education, gaming, entertainment,
Yeah,
marketing, social,
yeah,
as well as possibly the tech stack behind it, where we start emulating reality, where you get to like photorealistic content, creating those
correct.
realistic content where users can't distinguish between what is real versus what is virtual. That will add on to more users onboarding. And you mentioned solving societal challenges. I think that's going to be a game changer. If we are able to do that, leveraging this technology, then obviously it's going to be a complete game changer. Now, Blippar, you obviously mentioned about Blippar. You mentioned about the applications, the Blip Builder. You have the Blip Builder, you have the Web AR SDK, you've got the AR Studio. You talked about IP and tech. Can you elaborate on Blippar and its
Yeah,
application? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So as I said, right, I can probably go by product because that makes more sense. Blip Builder as a product, as I said, is a no-code AR platform. We have been running it for free to ensure that users are able to access Blipper's tech and understand and use it. So we want to essentially have developers and ecosystem players to actually come and build that community, which can actually help people understand more about AR. And we are now bringing in events and triggers, which is a massive change to the way people create experiences. So we're gonna make people write code without them understanding how to write code. So we're gonna create a generation of programmers out of everyone. The way we're gonna do this is we're building a simple node graph, which is you just drag and drop, right? So it's like you're gonna be playing a game while you're creating an AR experience. So it would mean is these professional high-grade AR experiences that are charged a bomb by agencies and everything, and it's just fair. You will be able to do it in under 5 minutes just by using this tool, and publish for free kind of stuff. So that's our vision for Blippar. But at the same hand, while this is creation, the consumption is also a very critical piece for us. So we want to make sure that the consumption, wherever it happens, is absolutely easy. Let's say you don't want to have any app. You just have the phone browser. Boom, Blippar will work there. You have the app, you have, let's say, a branded app, but that somebody built. You use the SDK, build the app on top of it on your ecosystem, iOS or Android. Boom, Blippar will work there. Similarly, HMDs, and HMDs is a massive focus for us. And we've been doing this for a long time because we have done it with Magically, we have running on Quest, we have some interesting partnerships. So I mean, I can't disclose this, but we are under NDA, but there's a big one that is coming out. We will be releasing some news around it very big. And it's an app that I don't think anyone has never, it's not, we'll find very rarely that app uh, which is not used by anyone on this planet. So, and I'll stop there. So, and with the Apple's advent of Vision Pro, and I'm betting that they're going to soon bring in glasses as well. Running Blippar on all of this is what we want to do. So essentially, create once and publish everywhere. The same experience built once works across these plethora of devices. And I'm saying tomorrow, if you have Lens, I've heard about a company that's actually working on Lens, which is you use it, and the CEO actually gave a demo. You use it for 30 minutes, and just the temperature goes up by 1 degree, and you're able to experience AR experience, all the AR experiences in the Lens itself. And we will be there as well. So if the partnership works out, that's how we are building the engine behind it. So create once, we will take care of publishing to whatever platform comes out. So that's on the Blip Builder. Yeah. Similar structure on SDK, but what we want to do is, because it's Blip Builder and it's our platform, we obviously will thinking in a separate, in an interesting way, but we want to ensure that the creativity is not bounded by what we think. And hence, we're going to package the entire platform that we have done as a part of the SDK and hand it over to users so that their creativity has no bounds. It is a tech underlying bit. What you build on top of it is completely left to you. We have A-frame support, Babylon, Play Canvas, and obviously we keep integrating with all the libraries that are going to come out. We have iOS SDK, we have Android SDK. There's more versions of SDK that are going to come out, which will free up people from having to completely adhere or be bounded by what we have built. So go free, use whatever you want. So we'll give you the tracking, we'll give you all the APIs to access cameras, gyrometer, accelerometer, and everything. So the entire structure to build, the scaffolding to build structure will be given by us. But then what you build on top of it is completely yours. Obviously, you need to know a bit of programming there, but then we'll help you with that as well. So that's on SDK. On the studio, what we actually do is we use these products to build for brands. So there are brands and agencies who essentially want to build amazing experiences, but may not have the tech, ability to build this, code this, or deploy this at scale. So what we can do is we use our internal talent to help them build that. And a classical example was the launch of OnePlus in the pandemic. I don't know if you have seen that launch, but that went on to become the biggest phone seller on Amazon for a long time. And it was viewed simultaneously by 700,000 people, around 27,000 gigabytes of data was transferred across the country. And it was live AR experience over 30 minutes, right? So it was as if you're watching a movie in your bedroom, in your living room, the CEO coming, the phone being revealed. And it was live streamed because it was absolutely critical to the brand that the phone doesn't get leaked before the experience, till that particular time. It was done so beautifully that if you actually were to come in at 10 minutes, you walk into a theater, the theater is not going to play the first 10 minutes of the movie for you. Similarly, when you walk into that particular AR experience, exactly at 10th minute, what everyone is watching is what you are watching. So it was not a pre-built AR experience, it was a dynamic AR experience. So I think that those are the things that we're doing. But as a vision of the company, there are only two visions that we want to do. One is create once and publish everywhere, which means you build the experience once, and we will ensure that the entire experience that you have built works on whatever be the form factor of it: app, web browser, HMD, glasses, lenses, and everything in the future. And secondly, we want to actually build that ecosystem so that people have access to easy creation of AR experiences, the ability to understand AR, the ability to ensure they can share these AR experiences with their social structure, and then essentially build that behavior that allows AR to become ubiquitous. Remove that friction, make it super easy.
The challenges of the friction to the adoption of this technology has been interoperability and the democratization of this tool, the accessibility of this tool, giving a common content creator access of this tool and make them understand how they can leverage it into creating beautiful 3D interactive content.
Correct.
I'm sure that this is going to be a game changer. So Blip Builder, democratization of content, web AR SDK, letting people create web experiences, and the studios letting content creators, production houses, agencies,
Yeah. Yeah.
helping them basically create content. Could you share some examples from each of these things which kind of stood out? You spoke about OnePlus. If there's anything that's caught your attention, if you would like to talk about it, will be nice.
The things that, though, what has caught my eyes are those non-commercial experiences that are built by our community of users. We had a teacher in Nigeria who actually used Blip Builder to explain solar system to the kids. Now, the beauty is it was so beautifully designed and created, and we were blown away because this person had no experience whatsoever in building air experience. No coding, no coding. It's uh, she's a science teacher somewhere in Nigeria. It was Lagos, if I'm not wrong, if I clearly remember. So the way the experience was built with sun in between and these planets, and each of these planets given animations. These are all pre-built animations in Blippar. You have rotations and you have movements and group animations. So when you actually see, I actually use that experience to show how a solar system looks to my kid. Now, this was a classical example of how someone who has no idea of what AI can do uses AI to actually spread uh, or rather teach the next generation on how a specific thing works. And that was used by somebody else to teach their kid to do that. So if you look at it, just 5 minutes, I mean, I think 5 to 10 minutes was used by this teacher to actually build this experience. But the number of points or the number of people or number of lives that it touched is massive. We had like close to 600 people viewing those experiences that I know because I was spreading and they were spreading the word. But then experiences that was built by one teacher for 15 students ended up going across and touching 600 and then 6,000 and 60,000 and so forth. And that's when I realized that the power of AI. Right? And that's one example that I keep telling everyone because, yeah, that was unbelievable. Apart from that, a lot of brand-based marketing experiences, which is generally done by studio, that has been there. And I think OnePlus was a game changer because it actually amalgamated the way, and that actually went in and was made into a movie. It was streamed on Amazon Prime. I think it's still live on YouTube. And the beauty was looking at that, people were able to come up with more examples. There were many more brands that came to us based on that, having their own concept of how they want to do the AR. So one project is not, it's not like a one-off project. There's always something that drives something else and everything. On the other hand, on studio, that's also one interesting point is 80% of our consumers, or rather the B2B consumers who actually your brands come on, are repeat. Once they create it, they realize the kind of value, the engagement levels that they get, and they just keep coming back again and again. Let's build it. Let's build it. The challenge though is because as brands and agencies start becoming using to tech, they start asking for more. Sometimes some things that are not even feasible for us. And that's exactly where we are starting to use Gen AI, generative AI. One thing that I should have not we talk about this. One of the friction points for adoption of AI is creation of content. You might be able to drag and drop everything, but what if you want to have your cat be a part of that AI experience? How do you bring that into life? So creation of those 3D objects, images, videos. So what we are gunning forward towards is the ability to write or even speak to your form factor. You might be on your app while creating, and we are building a tool that is soon going to come in. It's like you do not even need a desktop or a heavy duty system to build experience. You just have your phone, you speak into it, it'll translate, create the AR experience for you, and boom, done for you. You don't even have clicks on anything other. You can turn and change everything. But the idea is the content will be automated, the publishing will be automated, the consumption will be automated, making it sure that you, like how you talk to Siri or anything of that sort today. We want to get to that level on AI. You build AR experiences just by converting is not into your voice or into text, and then we take it from there.
How cool is that? But at the same time, Prasanna, it's also scary because I mean, obviously, generative AI has taken over. We doing text to speech, text to video, text to 3D, text to search, and text to world building, and It's awesome because we getting to democratize content creation itself. Possibly in another couple of years, maybe by the end of this decade, there'll be possibly movies which will be
True.
completely generated by AI. Maybe address the positiveness. Obviously is humongous. What could be the downsides, and maybe also while you're addressing the downsides, maybe talk about maybe some advice to entrepreneurs who are wanting to get into the AR space.
Yeah. Just let me correct you that it won't be the end of decade. It's already happening. I've just recently seen a movie completely generated by AI, by the way. So the technology is moving so fast. I think by the time we speak something, it's already done, right? But yeah, I think Gen AI, AR, VR, and as with any technology, like even nuclear weapons for that matter, right? What it is going to be used for can already be misused at all times. I think two major things that have been themes. One that I feel is obviously the IP, right? So let's say you make a movie, you use Shah Rukh Khan's face, or you use somebody's voice, like Kainie's voice, or anything of that sort. IP, right? Because you can use them does not mean that you should be using them without IP. They have spent years and years of a hard work, and it ensures it need to ensure. So there needs to be a system around governing this AI, right? So essentially, hey, when you do that, the AI should also tell you what you're doing is good, but you need these steps to ensure that does not get into IP conflicts. So, for example, you created an actor's voice. The AI should also tell you, it is good, but have you taken the permission to actually use it? So those deals and everything needs to be worked out. So that's IP. I think IP safety is going to be super, super critical. It's not just actors, but somebody created a 3D model and you just copied it across. It's not fair, right? So if it is Creative Commons and people have used it for open source, awesome. But if it is IP protected, you need to do it. And I think the NFTs, right? The way fingerprinting those digital assets and everything, that was good. I think that combined with the whole notion of metaverse, the ability to identify who created what, I think it's going to be super critical. So that one thing has to be there. The second thing that I've always heard a lot about, and I'll come to this point of entrepreneurs, but I think is people losing jobs if everything goes AI. I feel strongly against it. I actually feel it would be the other way around. I think it's going to create more jobs because there's going to be more opportunities. The only thing that will is a risk is people don't what do you say get themselves accustomed to these technologies. Right? When you were drawing with your hands and then Adobe came with Photoshop and everything, people didn't lose jobs. You actually created more jobs. People had started learning Photoshop. People started using Dreamweaver to build websites. WordPress came in, and today we have a lot of these tools that create the websites for you. Webflow is there and users there and everything. But you're not losing jobs. You're getting more talented web designers who are using these tools to build this. I think Gen AI is going to do the same thing for AR and VR. So I think that's one take on what I feel about these advent of latest technology. For entrepreneurs and people who are building companies on these latest technologies, I think it is the golden age for technology, specifically because I'm based out of India and the company. I've seen the Indian market explode. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity for people in India. The way our market is going, the way our economy is growing like crazy, I think it's awesome. Obviously, West is always there to set an example, but uh, my suggestion would be to choose those problems that are specific to a region and solve it for that region. I think that would be awesome because AI, unlike any other technology or Gen AI kind of technology, is very specific to a problem statement, which would mean if you solve a problem for a particular region, I think that would be the best. And I think that would solve a lot of problems for a lot of companies, a lot of people. And obviously, a company succeeds, you have more jobs, you have more money. Then again, it spurs the next round of innovation, more companies and everything. So,
Lovely. Preet, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. I think, we're
yes.
sitting in fantastic point of time in human history. I think the
Yep.
first time in human history, I think we've got the tools which can completely augment us to a point where I don't really know. I think nobody knows, not the top minds in the AI understand at this point in time where this is going to go. Because for the first time, I think in human history, we've got a tool which is kind of self-learning. And eventually, I think
Yep.
it's going to mimic possibly human intellect, and maybe
Yep.
obviously go beyond, as we keep on stacking, hardware, software, algorithmic understanding of intelligence. And I mean, I don't really know where this stops. So yes, I do understand that automation was is can be, good, but when it goes really far, I don't really understand, because what would be the roles left
Yeah. Yeah.
for humans is something which I really don't because like you said, when I quoted that it could take 10 years, and you said no, not at all, maybe in a couple of years, maybe 2 years, we'll have AI
Yep.
create generated content, maybe like full movies. So exciting, as well as scary. In this exciting as well as scary world, what is your vision for Blipper? And what are possibly the immediate priorities that you can share us?
Correct. So our immediate priorities, as I said, is to be ubiquitous on every platform that is consuming AR. And we are heavily focused on AR. No mixed reality, no VR. AR, pure AR. Yeah, augmented reality. So if there is a device, Blipper has to run on it. So that's the immediate focus. The second focus is essentially to ensure there is a very vibrant community that can actually take these tools and go and take Blipper to the next level with respect to content, with respect to creativity, right? So we want to build tools. We don't want to build content. We want people to build content. We want developers to build content. We want the community to be the driving force behind AI. And one mission statement for Blipper has always been to keep taking AI forward. One of the things that Rish used to say 8 years, 9 years back, and hence we still follow it, is that we need to be the WordPress of AI, which means the creation has to be from our side. And because that vision has been, and we have stayed true to that vision. We have always our community support and everything. Whether you're a paid user, whether you're a free user, that's a different story. We are always behind solving those problems. So that's an immediate priority. Um, the vision. Oh, I have a completely crazy vision around this. The ability is, I mean, I want to take this to a level, as I said, right? The ability for people to create experiences or understand what they want to do just by thinking and not going to a computer and everything and building that. So that's where I want it. Because if you do that, imagine the amount of content that's going to be sitting around you, right? So that's one. But obviously, I would love to have, if I can go to Blipper and then just do something and have my grandfather come alive in front of me with voice, with the exact same styles and everything. Boom, that's about it. That's where exactly I want to take it. We'll see where it goes.
Lovely. Preet, I wish you the very best, because I think, yes, we need to ask these brave questions on where all we can push this technology to create a better society, create
Yeah.
cooler experience. You said your first priority run on all device, second is the creator economy, you let the community, and the third is generative AI, where you allow the
Yeah. Yeah.
creators to create unbound, where the
Yeah.
imagination takes over. Maybe just a word that comes out of their mouth creates
Exactly.
content.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome, beautiful. Where does this take us? I don't really know, but beautiful. I think, it's a beautiful vision. So wish you and the team at Blipper the very best. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. Until next time, see you guys. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you. Much appreciated.